Did Peter Paul Rubens only paint fuller women? You might think so, as the term Rubenesque woman even exists in our language. This iconic name forever connects curvy women with the Flemish Baroque painter. The story behind it isn't just about an ideal of beauty. It's a fascinating journey into the past, full of intimate moments, ancient myths, and a small scandal. Let's go back to the 1600s. Rubens lived and worked in an era known as the Baroque. This art era is characterized by drama, movement, opulent details, and emotional intensity. Big, rounded shapes perfectly fit this exuberant aesthetic, allowing for the full depiction of the energy and sensuality desired at the time. This is a key to understanding Rubens' female figures. Rubens was not only a brilliant painter, but also a smart businessman and diplomat. He was born in 1577 in Siegen, in present-day Germany, but spent most of his life in Antwerp, which was then part of the Spanish Netherlands. His training as a painter began early, and in his early 20s he moved to Italy. He spent 8 influential years there, deeply immersing himself in the art of the Renaissance and antiquity. He studied Michelangelo, Titian, and even the emerging Caravaggio. From Michelangelo, he adopted the monumental depiction of figures, and from Titian the luminous colors and sensuality. Caravaggio's dramatic chiaroscuro, the strong contrast between light and shadow, also impressed him. This period in Italy was crucial for the development of his unique style. He masterfully combined the magnificence and idealism of classical art with the energy and naturalism of Flemish painting. When he returned to Antwerp in 1608, he was an internationally recognized artist. His studio became the largest and most productive painting workshop in Europe. Commissions poured in from all the royal courts in Europe, as Rubens' works were considered not only technically outstanding, but also expressions of power, faith, and wealth. His diplomatic missions led him to the most influential courts in Europe, such as Spain and England. These diplomatic contacts were extremely valuable to him. They opened doors to the most powerful patrons and secured prestigious commissions for large altarpieces and royal portraits, which truly launched his career as a painter. So Rubens became an international star. This brings us back to the question, what's the deal with the Rubenesque women? If you look at his famous painting, The Three Graces for example, created between 1635 and 1639 and now hanging in the Prado in Madrid, you will immediately understand what I'm talking about. It depicts 3 naked women embracing, and their bodies are rather curvy. This is very different from the beauty ideal we are used to, which has been largely promoted by the Western fashion world for the past 70 years, where very slender female bodies are seen as attractive. So why did he paint women like that? Was it commissioned by his famous clients, or was it a personal preference? First, you need to understand that ideals of beauty are historically and culturally determined and changed a lot over the centuries. What's considered beautiful today wasn't necessarily so 400 years ago. In the 1600s, during the Baroque period, having a somewhat full body was a sign of wealth, good health, and fertility. In a time when sickness and hunger were common, a well-nourished body showed that you could afford good food and weren't starving. So Rubens' paintings were not at all unusual for the beauty standards of his time. In fact, they showed what was considered beautiful then and even presented it in a new, energetic way. His women aren't just quote-unquote chubby. They are all vital, sensual, and full of life. They show incredible strength and health. Rubenesque women have rosy cheeks, glowing skin, and a captivating presence. They are everything that was desired in the Baroque era. Also, religious and mythological aspects played a role. Many of his works were intended for churches or noble houses and showed biblical or mythological scenes. In portraying goddesses, nymphs, or biblical figures, Rubens could display the human body in all its beauty and nudity. For him, the fullness of the body was also an expression of divine creation. He believed that the bodies of ancient Greeks and Romans had an ideal shape, and that was closer to perfect creation. The curves and bodies of his figures were not only meant to appear attractive, but also to symbolize a certain grace and divine perfection. Another, maybe unexpected, twist in the story of the Rubenesque woman is his personal relationship with women, especially his two wives. He married his first wife, Isabella Brant, in 1609. She often modeled for his religious works and portraits. You can see her in his Mary in Adoration before the Sleeping Child Jesus, painted around 1616 to 1619. When Isabella got sick with a plague and died in 1626, Rubens was heartbroken. But 4 years later, in 1630, at the age of 53, he married Helena Fourment, who was only 16. She was his brother-in-law's sister. From today's perspective, such an age difference in a marriage may seem strange. The idea of a 53-year-old man marrying a 16-year-old contradicts our modern ideas of maturity, equality, and protecting young people. Today, we view marriage as a partnership of equals, based on free choice and emotional maturity on both sides. Even for that time, the age difference between Rubens and Helena was very large. So much so that even Rubens' closest friends felt compelled to address it. But generally, large age differences between married couples weren't uncommon in Rubens' time. To understand this, we need to put aside our current values for a moment and think about society back then. In the 17th century, marriages were often not love matches, but strategic alliances that served to secure property, status, or social connections. Age was also viewed differently then. Girls were considered mature and marriageable earlier at that time. It was quite common for young women to marry early, often men who were significantly older and could offer them economic security. A wealthy, respected man like Rubens offered a young woman and her family a promising future. There were no legal concerns about such a union, and it was socially accepted. And for Rubens, a widower with children marrying a young woman who could have more children was very important for continuing his family and his legacy. Helena, in any case, became the muse of his later years and significantly influenced his late work. She was young, beautiful, and according to Rubens, didn't blush when he painted her. Many of the sensual, naked, or lightly dressed women in his paintings from this period have Helena's features or even show her directly. An example of this is the painting Helena Fourment in a Fur Robe, also known as The Little Fur, created between 1636 and 1638, which shows her lightly draped in fur. It's a very intimate and personal portrait that reveals his love and admiration for his wife. The intimacy is further enhanced by the fact that Rubens painted Helena here in a much more real way, less idolized than in other pictures. It was a private painting that he later gave to her as a personal gift. She kept it and left it to her children years later. You can argue that the joy and sensuality Rubens expresses in his late female portraits were strongly inspired by his happy second marriage. Furthermore, Rubens was a master of depicting movement and drama, which was typical in the Baroque era. Fuller bodies are perfect for showing fabric folds, light reflections, and dramatic poses. The skin, muscles, and curves of his figures aren't static, but seem to be in motion all the time. He made his figures so real and three-dimensional that they draw the viewer right into the scene. His painting style, with strong, visible brush strokes, also helped make the bodies feel real and alive. It's important to emphasize that while the term Rubenesque woman often refers to the fullness of his female figures, Rubens actually painted a huge variety of women. He painted powerful regents like Anna of Austria, the mother of the Sun King Louis XIV, religious figures like Virgin Mary, and intimate portraits of his family. All these women show a unique personality that Rubens captured with great sensitivity and empathy. In his eyes, they were not passive objects but active agents of their own lives. All these factors, the beauty ideals of his time, his intensive training, and not least, his deep personal affection for his wives, contributing to Rubens painting women with such fullness, vitality, and sensuality, thereby shaping the icon of the Rubenesque woman. So it's much more than just describing a body shape. It's a symbol for an entire era, a beauty ideal, and an artist's ability to express pure life, exuberant passion, and deep sensuality. It was not just an aesthetic decision, but also an expression of his worldview and personal experiences. And that's why it's art.